Welcome back to the third episode of the devlog for Through Stone and Shadow, which is a survival style game set inside of a cave. If you haven't seen the first two episodes, would encourage you to do that. It kind of explains the makeup of the game and some of the decision points up to this point. But if you have, then welcome back. Let's go ahead and dive right in. I've got a lot to cover today. I've set up a number of mechanics, and we're just going to basically just cover those mechanics today, bring you along for the journey. One of the things that I set up was an RPG state. So this is the RPG player state. I'll do a separate video on this so people can find the information on it. So I won't go into intricate detail because that's not really what this video is about. Basically what I've set up here is a couple of user-defined globals. So my hydration and my hunger, for example. And of course, there's going to be a max my hydration and a max my hunger to kind of correlate with those. And those are all just being set up in a way that gives me a hunger that's always kind of ticking down and a thirst that's always kind of ticking down. That's all teeing things up for later on in the development. But any of the globals that are acting on the entire game, I've decided to set them up on these little red blocks so that I can always find them very easily. So they're sitting right here. And of course, with that cube being always active, then it'll just affect me anywhere I go within the cave. So that's the first thing I did. Now I put together some bars and I put together some icons. The icons are a little cheesy. Like I won't keep these. They're just placeholders for right now so I can keep track of which bar is which, but I'll work on UI later on in the series. But for right now, those are working. So now when I play the game, I have a hunger state and I have a thirst state, and those are ticking down constantly. So the next thing that I worked on was the water control behavior. So in previous episodes, I mentioned that it's important to provide the player a resource for water, but because we have lava pits, we can't have the water playing at the ground level because that wouldn't make any sense. There's water and lava existing in the same place. That's the recipe for steam. So instead, what we have to do is trick the player into believing that the water is where it always is at any given point. And the way we're going to do that is with the water control behavior. Now, previously, the water control behavior was set up such that you had to trigger it and then re-trigger it so that it would go up, and then you trigger it again and it would go down. But you would use two different triggers for this. And in fact, in my water control video, that's exactly what I do. I use a valve to raise to lower the water, and then a button to raise it back up again. That obviously doesn't work in this scenario. And so I proposed to Necrom that we update the water control behavior so that it would just always do the opposite of whatever it's done previously. So in other words, if the water is already above the ground plane, then lower it. And if it's not above the ground plane, then raise it. I think that's kind of how it works. I'll let him explain the details at some point in the future. But at any rate, that's what's changed about the water control behavior, which I have set up on this nearby rock. Let's take a look at that real quick. So here's our water control behavior. We can get rid of the prompt text. That's just placeholder stuff. But you can see I've got it set to raise, but that's the initial state. So right now the water plane I think is like under the ground. I want to say it's like maybe negative 25 or 20 or something like that. I don't remember the exact number. And I'm raising it up 1,500 units. It's coming up quite a ways. And then when I come back out of this tunnel, it's going back down again. And so from the player's perspective, the water's just always there when they go into that tunnel, and when they leave, I guess they assume that it's still there, but it's gone away. And that's because, I mean, if you think about it, this represents roughly 1,400 or 1,500 units above the ground plane. So there's quite a change in elevation when it comes to navigating this cave down to the lava at the ground level. So that's a lot. That's a lot of area to cover. And so by the time they get down there, well before the time they get down there, it'll already be down and away. In fact, I've got the water flow set up really fast, 1.5, so it comes up right away. And then so they walk through here and they come down here. And by the time they get down, down into here, then the water's already there. And you can see I've set up some particle effects. I've set up a whole bunch of particle effects. So anybody cringing right now, I apologize, but this is the best I could do. But there's a whole bunch of particle effects. These are all just little dust particles. I thought it'd be kind of cool that if you went under the water, that it would be dirty, and there'd be dust particles making it difficult to see. And that will obstruct the view of this tunnel, which is important because this tunnel is basically end game, right? So we're going to swim through here, and then they'll come out the other side above the water. And then here, I'm not going to reveal exactly what I have planned for this, but just note that this is kind of an end game area. But for right now, they won't need to go swimming around if they don't want to. They can really just come up to the water and get some water and bring it back and boil it, which I haven't set up yet, but that's the idea. Let me show you what that looks like. It's not perfect. There's still some minor tweaking that needs to be done, and I'll show you some things I'm not 100% happy with, but it's good enough, I think, to show. So let me show you that. Sun is coming up. Anytime I start the game, I have to wait for the sun to come up. But you can see the little bars that I put in there for food and drink. And again, those are just placeholder for right now. And you'll see those ticking down over time if I'm in the game long enough. But as I come through this tunnel, I've already triggered the water to come up. Now, even if I sprint, I'm not going to get there in time for the water not to be there. You could kind of see it raise up a little bit there, so I might work on the timing a little bit. But there you can see the water is here. I also kind of want to work on the movement of the water. As you can see it moving quite a lot, and that's just the wave of the water, so that's just something I haven't really focused on that much. But let's just swim through, and we can see the little dust particles in the water. It gets really murky towards the bottom. It's pretty clear towards the top, though. I'm gonna drown. And I think that's okay because we have a tunnel on the other side here, but it might be difficult for the player to even notice that it's there right away. And that's good because I don't want them to notice that it's there right away. But if they're swimming around and they're curious, they might see this tunnel here. They might say, hey, I wonder where this goes. So if we swim through here, now there's a little bit of an opening right there, but that's not going to get them any oxygen. They got to swim past that. And even then, it's a tight swim all the way up. Hopefully I can make it before I die. Hey, alright. I got through before I died. Alright, so they swim through here. And there's still dust, in this water as well, but it's a little clearer. They can swim through here, and then you can see that the water plane allows them to kind of climb up. And there's some dry area up here. So this will all be something for later on in the game, but just wanted to show you how that looked. So overall I'm happy with it. Like I said, it could be a little bit better, but I'm pretty happy with it for now. Let's see, what else did I cover? Oh yeah, so the mushroom spawn. So another thing that I started working on, and I'm not totally done with this, but I started working on spawning. There's going to be a lot of spawning in this game. The rocks got to spawn, the creatures have got to spawn, the mushrooms have to spawn. A lot of different things have to happen and be constantly spawning. But for now, I started with food. We have the resource nodes set up here. So these are our resource nodes, these big ones, and they're producing all these little ones. Now, I have 2 places in the cave where there are food mushrooms growing, which will be these yellow ones. So they have the food behavior on them. And I haven't really, worked it out exactly how much nutrients to give or things like that. I'll dial it in the specifics later. I'm not too concerned about that right now. I'm really just getting the mechanics set up, and then as I play test, I'll be able to kind of tweak it and balance it just right. But there are 2, and each one is spawning a different kind of mushroom, and that's just to kind of give it a little more variety. So like you have that straight one and that bent one, and each one has to have its own name associated with it. So here's mushroom brown 2, that one's mushroom brown 1. In another part of the cave, there are 2 more. So there's mushroom brown 3 and 4. But from the player's perspective, they're all just edible mushrooms. Of course, they don't know that. When they pick it up, they just see that it's a yellow mushroom. They have to decide to try to eat it to see if it's food. And that's important because later on in the cave, I think it's down here near the lava, I've got some red mushrooms. So if they eat these, they can eat these, they're consumable, but this is a different behavior. It's the eat behavior, and it gives us the ability to use a poisoning effect. So I've got some, there's only one spawn of these. If they'll probably try it and then never try it again because it'll poison, make them more hungry. So that's just kind of a little trick I'm playing on the player. It's a minor thing. They'll probably, like I said, try it once and never try it again. And then I think I have some purple ones. If I remember correctly, they're in here. Bear with me a moment while I find them. Here we are. So purple mushrooms. There's only one spawner here, but they're spawning 5 mushrooms. Kind of hard to see. Let me just click that on so you can see better. There we go. And this is just a collectible object. So again, just setting it up for now. It'll be important later when we work on the crafting system to have these as resources so that you can craft healing, like medication, bandages, things like that. So that's what these are for. And then the last thing I want to show you is the lava pits. I want to show you, let's show you this one first. This is the biggest one. Huge lava pit there. I'm going to put my player character right here on the edge and save it. I always try to save it before I click play. There we go. So we can see the lava is moving and there's some like fire in the lava there. I might put a few more in there, but I don't want to overdo it with the particles, but it just kind of gives it a little life. Now I'm not picking up heat from the lava here because it's so far down. I thought, well, it's probably going to be cool enough higher up. But if I were to drop down there, I would definitely die because there's a huge hurt zone sitting over that lava pit, and there's no way to get back up anyway, so that's pretty much what we want to see. Now, I'm not going to traverse the cave. I'm just going to stop playing and head over to the other lava pit. So let's see. That would be over here. Walking over here, A, would take too long, and B, I don't know that I would be able to find it. It's actually a large play area, so I sometimes still get lost in it. Yeah. So this one's set up just a little bit different. I'll show you that in a second. Okay, lava is moving. Now I would like the speed to be a lot slower. I was working on that. I couldn't quite get it to get any slower. So I might change the texture on that, see if I can find a bigger texture. A bigger texture would move slower, but we'll work that out later. But for now, here you can see the little glowing effect going on there from the lights and if I get close, then it says it's so hot, right? And if I get far away, that goes away. And so what's happening there is I'm actually getting thirstier as I get closer. I'm getting more dehydrated because I'm overheated. And of course, there's also a hurt zone there. So if I step into the lava, I'm going to die. There's a little bit of a forgiving area, like right here I could stand and be okay. If I get much closer, I'll die immediately. So I'm kind of torn on that. I might go and make it so that maybe you just get hurt. Because a curious player might say, well, what's back there? You know, they can see that there's lava flowing in the back and there's some ground. They might get curious or try to get clever and walk up over here. And you see they die right away. But that doesn't make sense because they were on rocks. So what I might choose to do instead is just hurt them enough to where it's punishing and they'll have to immediately back off. Because there's nothing back there, so there's no reason to go back there. It's just the way the caves are shaped. But that is everything I have to show you today. A lot of work went into it, but it doesn't take much to cover. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to click the like button down below. That helps me out a lot. If you're new here, again, don't forget to go back and watch the first 2 episodes because I think it really helps clarify what I'm trying to make here, some of the challenges that I'm going to run into, and brings you along for the journey. And then if you'd like to get a notification for when these videos are posted, I'm not going to keep a regular schedule. It's really just going to be as I have time and as I have something to show, I'll post them. So just click the bell icon and that'll let you know when a new video is ready. But that's it. Thanks so much for watching all the way through. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.